Well, we wonder what's really going on in today's market and what's happening with the housing crash of 2021, which so many YouTubers are putting out information on. Now, if you go to the channels on television, all they're talking about on the main news channels is how unaffordable homes are and how many people want to buy them and they can't get them because there's multiple offers. But there's something going on behind the scenes that they're not talking about on national television yet, but probably will be soon. And that is what YouTubers are calling the housing crash of 2021. And this is an update as far as the information I could find as of day before yesterday on what's really happening behind the scenes. But let's go back a little bit. Back last year, Congress passed a $2.2 trillion bill called the Economic Stimulus Bill to help homeowners save homes during the coronavirus when they were laid off from work and couldn't afford to make their house payments. It's called the CARES Act. And the CARES Act is short for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. That's what it stands for. And that was passed in late March of last year. So the CARES Act allows for people not to have to make their mortgage payments during the time they couldn't make their mortgage payments because they weren't getting paid from work. They were either laid off from their jobs or their businesses were closed due to the coronavirus. So this is for loans that were backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, FHA and VA, and some other mortgage companies also participated in it. So you've had people that haven't been making their mortgage payments now for up to a year or more, a little bit more. And so now what do? Because when the program ends, do they have to make all that money up? So what they've come up with recently is a way to ease back into the market and ease people back into making their payments so that they do not lose their homes. Because if they didn't come up with something, people would start getting foreclosure notices very soon. And it's very hard to make up a year's or more's worth of payments when you haven't been making them. And perhaps you weren't getting back into the economy in workforce as easy as some others. And in some states, they were really hit a lot harder than others. The CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was created in the last crash to help consumers, is now reenacting some rules to help those homeowners ease back in to making their mortgage payments. They're going to have loan modifications available where instead of paying that money back in one lump sum and starting your payment all over again, they can actually tack it on to the end of the mortgage, and that's called a deferral. So they're going to take that amount that's due and put it on the back of the mortgage, therefore modifying the loan. That would be a really good solution for a lot of people who are back at work but don't have that lump sum to pay. Another solution is to sell the home and be given a time to do that with not making mortgage payments. That would be another program to look at if someone needs to sell their home because they can no longer afford it and because they haven't regained their job status as they had it before. The lender could also lower the mortgage payment by lowering the interest rate. And I know that sounds crazy because we've got some really low interest rates by now, but a lot of these people might not have that low rate. So there is a program where they can lower the interest rate and lower the payment and put the deferral or the lump sum on the back of the loan. Those are some of the solutions that the CFPB is coming up with, which I think are very, very good solutions for people. And that's going to help a lot of people, but not all. The higher rates of forbearance were actually done in the lower income areas, and I think those are the people that have been hurt the most by the coronavirus. So what are those people going to do? So most likely they're going to be selling their homes. The good news is that they probably won't have to short sell their homes. Now, short sale is something that became very, very popular in the last crash because the government allowed for debt forgiveness. They allowed us to have time to get a lot of the homes short sold for people. And short selling means you owe more than the home is currently worth. The reason we're not going to see so much of that now is because people do have a lot of equity because the market has climbed, and if they sell within a reasonable period of time, they're still probably going to walk away with some cash in their pockets, which would be very, very nice to see. So the equity that people have is now higher than ever. That's a good thing. Now, there are going to be some homes, and there are some homes that have already been abandoned by people who couldn't make their payments. And those abandoned properties are more than likely going to be foreclosed on. If the lender reaches out to the homeowner and they don't respond for a mortgage modification, there's no way that lender is going to be able to help them, and those homes are going to be foreclosed on. So yes, we are going to have an increase in foreclosures. Yes, we are going to have an increase in inventory for those homes. In Central Florida here, though, we live in a retirement sector, and we don't expect to see so much of that going on in the retirement sector because people have a tremendous equity in their homes, and they weren't as affected making payments in coronavirus as those who were still working. So we believe in our Tri-County area where we are, we're not going to see a lot in the 55 plus communities. We might see a little bit, but we don't expect to see large numbers. But the numbers are large across the nation. The last numbers that I saw were pushing 5 million homes that were in forbearance. Now, not all of these homeowners did stop making their payments. Some of them continued to make their payments. They were given a forbearance, which they accepted, but they continued to make payments because they either found other work or they didn't lose their jobs. They got it as a safety net. So not all of these 4.7 million homes are a year behind or more in their payments. That's the good news. But some of them are. And we don't know how many at this time. We do know there's some spikes in certain cities, and I'm not going to go over the cities with you in these videos, but there are 3 in Florida, which did surprise me. So some multifamily owners or landlords, or some people who own several homes that were financed through Freddie and Fannie, were also given forbearance when their tenants weren't making payments. In our company, we have about 400 homes in property management, and we actually only had 3 tenants who stopped making payments under that forbearance program. So in our area, we were just not affected that much with tenants not making payments. So I'm sure it's more prevalent in states like New York and Michigan that were closed down for quite some time, and some other states that were just really closed down. In Florida, we were closed down for a while because of Corona, but we did go back to work in a timely fashion, and some people were affected, but not as much as the states that were shut down totally. So we think we're going to be in good shape in Florida for this upcoming crash of 2021. We know that we need homes for people to live in. We still have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 buyers for every home that goes on the market here. So if they start loosening up because people decide to list their homes instead of paying that forbearance back, then that's actually good news in some ways, because people who want to buy homes who are getting FHA and VA mortgages can finally get into homes. They've been competing with people with conventional loans and cash, and it's been very, very difficult. So we're looking forward not to people having to sell their homes, but people who are wanting to sell their homes and move on and get their equity out and get rid of that forbearance. So if you're looking at YouTube videos that are saying we're going to have a major crash in the last quarter of this year, because I'm listening to these guys and I'm looking at the same data, but I'm looking at it compared to the last crash that we had. So I'm looking at it from an educated point of view of what's different this time. The other thing that's very different this time is our interest rates are not climbing, and that is very good. So the government's doing a great job of that too. So I'm saying the government's doing a good job. That's something new for me, but it does seem like they're doing the right thing. Now, if they can keep this as a smooth transition, which I'm hoping they will, because the last one was not, then I think we still have many good things to come in the real estate market in our area. And I hope whatever state you're in that you're going to have good things coming too. Take care, subscribe to my channel, like my video, and stay tuned for the next one.